So it's actually January. We're January 2021. That's what this will be recorded and put out into the universe. But actually, it's not January 2021. We're recording this in December, and the reason why we're doing that, and we're going to use pre-recorded services in January, is because there's a shelter-in with the state of California and our county, and I don't want to have the staff violate that shelter-in, and we want to keep everyone safe and healthy. So in that interest, we have decided to go ahead and replay the first 4 chapters of the Science of Mind, because the teaching is timeless. The lesson in of itself is timeless. Now, when you look at the lesson, there may be certain things that are happening in the world events that I may reference, but the teaching of the Science of Mind, chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4, is timeless. And so the message there, the crux, the foundation will be there every single Sunday that you tune in. But again, in the interest of our staff and in the interest of making sure that we maintain all of the rules and regulations, we have been taping things in advance to make sure that we abide by those directions and directives. So please stay safe. I hope you enjoy these lessons, and we will be back to you as soon as we can, as best as we can. Have a great service.
So good morning. Yeah, sorry I couldn't make it out a little bit earlier. I started taking a nap. So I learned how to use I'll tell you during the talk. So today we're embarking upon our normal 4-week journey in the month of January, which is to go through the first 4 chapters of our textbook talking about the science of mind. Basically, the first 4 chapters set up the foundation for our teaching. And every year that I go back and I review chapter 1, I learned something I forgot. Does that make sense? Yeah. I relearn it again. So I like to think as chapter 1, the thing itself. The concept of calling God a thing has always bothered me. It seemed disingenuous. It seemed sort of blasphemous when I first started in this teaching, because it just seemed like, oh my God, that's not really reverent to call God a thing. But I think that when Dr. Ernest Holmes was creating this philosophy, he wanted to take all the labels away from it. And so once you remove all the labels away from it, we can begin to understand what it really is, what God is, so to speak. So I like to think of this idea as what it is you've got a friend. You and I always have this friend that's with us. It's a silent partner. It's the best silent partner because the silent partner always says yes. Okay? The silent partner always says yes to everything we want. There's no debate. It just delivers the way we want it. And it always is there for us if we want to recognize that it's there. Just like any friend, you could ignore a friend if you'd like. In fact, you could think that that friend is somehow against you, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But the reality is there's always this presence within you if you want to acknowledge it. All the quotes today are directly from the Science of Mind, chapter 1. The first one is this: to suppose that the creative power, which we call God, would create us without giving us the freedom to discover ourselves would be to suppose an impossibility. So let's unpack that. To suppose that the universe would create you but not give you freedom to create would be impossible. The only way the universe expresses itself is by means of you and I. So we have to have the ability to create. So we were born with the ability to create and expand the universe, to discover more of ourselves. It would never put us in bondage, which is the next part. The divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. Being caught in a struggle is not God ordained. Whenever I'm caught in a struggle, I have to understand the universe, is not putting me in that situation. I've put myself there, and I can get myself out should I choose. Many times I choose not to do that. And the reason why is because it requires me to look at myself and make some changes around me, which I'm not comfortable in making. So I'd rather stay in my discomfort than push the limits and go into this unknown. Does that sound familiar at all? All right, so why do we struggle? We struggle because we're just not willing to make the change. We're beginning to think that, okay, I can't do this. And as soon as you say, I can't do it, see that pubescent boy coming out with the high voice there? Wow. Going through the change again. Not exactly what I'm ready for. I forget where I was. But this is not a mental science. This is a spiritual science, but it's a science nonetheless, much like any other scientific principle. The law of gravity says that if I drop this remote, it's going to go to the ground. I accept that principle. Do you agree? Yeah. If I dropped it and it went to the ceiling, we'd all have problems. right? So it's scientific principle. This is a spiritual science. Once you learn how to use this science, much like the laws of gravity and all other scientific laws, you will be able to demonstrate in your life without fail because you'll realize that the universe is always working in a sequential order for us if we work for ourselves. Does that make sense? If we believe that God withholds, then maybe, got this, there's a true underlying belief that we believe in a God that is not expressed by means of us. Think about that for just a minute. If we believe that God withholds, then the true underlying belief is that we believe in a God that's not expressed by means of us. God never withholds from us. It never does. It can't. I, on the other hand, am very good at regulating the flow of my good. Does that make sense? I regulate the flow of my good. I regulate the flow of my not good. And usually, in the middle of a pity party, I turn my not good valve up on high. Feel bad for me. Woe me. Does that make sense? All right, the Spirit ever seeks, urges, and pushes against itself to fulfill itself. This is why we get frustrated when things aren't going our way, or we have this idea of expanded awareness. And we get frustrated because the universe is actually pushing us into expanding and expressing something greater than we currently are today. And there's that universal divine urge that we have to, maintain perfect health, and maintain good relationships, and actually attract loving relationships, to move through prosperity, to have creativity and abundance. So those are the divine urges that the universe is always seeking to express by means of us. What we do at times, we don't use the law properly, and so when we're misusing the law is being used properly, but I'm using it improperly. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, so whenever that happens, then I'm expressing something I don't want to experience. We cannot have a happy or successful life if we approach life with a morbid idea that there is some power in the universe inflicting punishment upon us. Do you remember that? Don't piss God off. How come all the fun things piss God off? When I was growing up, all the fun things were the things that you weren't supposed to do because God got angry at you. Am I the only one? No, say hell no. Hell. Oh my God, you just said hell in church. We're going to piss God off. Lightning bolts. For us to believe in a punishing God, I think a lot of people that have come into our center, we've left that punishing God to other churches to teach. We don't need to teach that. I am so good at punishing myself that I don't need a higher power to do it for me. Yes? Yes. Okay, so we don't believe in the punishing God. We believe that will keep us from being happy and successful. Whatever the nature of any principle may be, insofar as it is understood by anyone, it may be understood by all who take the time to investigate. So let's talk about that. A lot of people don't take the time to investigate the idea of spirituality and awareness and expansion. It doesn't even cross their mind. They just go about their life. They like their religion to tell them what to do and what not to do, so they don't have to think about it. The top 10 Commandments? If I live by those, you all are thinking Billboard top 10. No, that's not it. All right? But if you take the time to investigate, and how do we investigate? We investigate, it's a science. This is called the science of mind. So if I'm investigating a science, how do I do that? I do that through experimentation. I try it. Does this thing really work? What if I did all the things that they teach us how to do? I wonder if this thing really works. Well, you can sit a lot and wonder, or you can act and actually demonstrate. A lot of people spend a lot of time sitting in these chairs and going to classes, and they learn all about it. But their life isn't reflecting it. And when I find out and I sit down with them and they're like, but I go to all these classes. But what are you doing? Well, I'm going to classes. I said, well, then you're an expert at going to class, but not doing what you're supposed to do that you're learning in the class. This making sense? It may be understood by all who take the time to investigate. That's what this is about. Who take the time to investigate a spiritual science. All thought is creative. You're either creating a positive experience or a positively negative experience. Either way, the power is working for you. So I have to tell you about this little cold that I'm having right now. It's a positive negative use of the law. Okay? And here's why. On New Year's Eve, everybody at the stroke of midnight wants to go around and give hugs and kisses, right? And all I'm thinking is this: I don't want to catch a cold. Don't kiss me. Just don't touch me. Because if you kissed all those people over there and you come over here and kiss me, all you're doing is spreading everything from over here, and I'm not up for that. So the whole night, all I'm thinking about, try to avoid that kiss thing, the hug thing, the contact thing, because I don't want to catch a cold. I wasn't affirming my health. Can we turn the ceiling fans on, though? Thank you. So it's not just me and my fever. Good, okay. I'm just kidding, don't have a fever. I'm not, okay. So it's strange. I wasn't affirming my health. I was avoiding sickness. That's not the same, because my emphasis was, I don't want to get sick, not I'm staying healthy. So I naturally, 3 days later, just like clockwork, 72 hours, tick, tick, tick. Are you kidding me? So we're either positively using it for positive or positively using it for a negative experience. Either way, it's the law. And like I said, the law doesn't have a discerning process. It can't say, oh no, Joe, this isn't good for you. That the universe doesn't say those things. If it said those things, think of how different everyone's life would be. Yeah. We would have never experienced any difficulties in our whole life because we would have never put ourselves in situations where things would happen because the universe would have protected us from that. The universe doesn't protect me from myself. And I'm the energy that puts that out there, what I want, what I think, what I talk about. So the universe just says, yes, Joe. Yes, Joe, whatever you want. The storehouse of nature may be filled with good, but this good is locked to the ignorant. Ignorant. Please don't call your brother-in-law ignorant, though. When they've locked themselves into not getting into the storehouse of good, don't say it's because you're ignorant. It's not a good thing. Don't like that word. But I want you to think about it. The storehouse of good, I use this over here. There's a storehouse of good that every experience that ever existed is there. Everything that exists now or will exist in the future, and we have the key to it. Now, a lot of people don't use that key. What they'll do is say, whatever God's will is, it shall be done. And God's will is going, Joe, what do you want? And I say, I don't know. So I have a life of not knowing. You shall not know, and you shall not know abundantly. When I say to the universe, well, I'm not clear. And so what happens? What do I demonstrate? A total lack of clarity. It's positively working in a negative way because I'm not putting my key into the keyhole for the storehouse of good. So it's locked to the people who lock it up, but it's available to those of us who know how to open it. And that's what we teach here. How do you open this? It is not through human determination, nor power or might, but by the silent, organized thought. Does it say chaotic thought? No. Disorganized? No. Panicked? Does it say those things? No. Why? Because that's not where we get our clarity. Usually when I'm all frazzled, for some reason, the universe demonstrates more reason for me to be frazzled. Then I metaphysically beat myself up, right? It does not import it by the silent, organized thought that the divine plan imparts its power to us. What does that mean? It means through meditation. It means learning how to pray. It means going to our website, if you haven't done so, and watch the prayer workshop over and over and over again until you get it. It's listening to our practitioners, like Michael, who did a great prayer, and all of them, to listen to them, to go back for the 1-minute miracle. And if someone pray for you in an organized way. Why? Because science is orderly. This is a spiritual science. It takes the heart and uses law. Spiritual laws, scientific laws. If you know how to do the experiment, A plus B equals C, if you know how to do this, you will manifest. What God is a manifester of how I put things into my equation. It hears the things I think about all the time, which is, oh, that sucks. Because it heard me say, I didn't pray, oh God, I don't want to catch a cold. I didn't pray that. But all thoughts are prayers. All thoughts become things. All thoughts become things. Say that.
All thoughts become things.
So, it was a cold in my case. But all thoughts become things. So it could be another bodily function. It could be cancer. The universe expresses, I remember Dr. Tom used to say, in the word cancer is the word answer. Not spelled the same, but concept. And he used to say that, and I never quite understood why. I'm like, cancer is an answer to what? It's the answer to stress. It's the answer to the question, if you ask yourself, why am I going through this? It's probably because you're stressed out. Because everything can't be pushed down, it has to be released. All thoughts become things. I know. I feel the exact same way sometimes. In fact, I sounded like that's this morning. At 6 a.m., I almost called Laura and said, you're doing the talk. But it's not power or might or will. You can't yourself into getting better. This is not about willing, oh God. No, there's a flow to life. If you're doing this, your hands are clenched up, your teeth, you're not moving the law the way the law is meant to move. You're just going to get some indigestion issues, bodily functions. There is nothing between God and our own lives, nothing between heaven and hell but an idea. And how often do we flip from heaven to hell? Right? Nothing but an idea. And it happens in an instant, doesn't it? It just takes one person to really get you good and pissed off in 10 seconds, and boom, you're in hell. Do you agree?
Yes.
Why do we do that to ourselves? Because as soon as I go into hell, that thought's going to become a thing. And it's going to become more than the anger that I'm venting out of my mouth. It's going to become a thing, a demonstration in form. Where's my form of anger going to go? My stomach, hair falling out, whatever it is. That's not good. Nothing between ourselves and happiness but a mental state. Nothing between any two people except the distinction of sharply accentuated individualities which need not clash with each other. Wow, absolutely not. This can't possibly be true. I know. How can this? Because look what's going on right now in the Middle East. There's some personality clashes going on. Not that they haven't had those for centuries, right? But again, we're there. And now if you believe that there's no such thing as a punishing God, which we believe, and we believe that good is unfolding from everything, then when we look at a situation like this, can we find ourselves saying there's something that's working itself out without getting ticked off as it's working its way through? That's the hard part. But keep in mind, if we get angry and upset inside, where does that stress go? Illness, whatever it is, it has to demonstrate in form. We don't have the luxury of holding on to that kind of anger. And I say luxury because it's a positive use, it's a negative use of a positive law. Making sense? Yes. So, and we have no intermediaries. Nothing between us and God. I could not, when I was in Catholic high school, I could not keep the saints organized. They had saints everywhere. And you're supposed to pray to a saint for a certain thing? Oh my God, I prayed to the wrong saint all the time. No wonder I was a mess. You know? And we have no intermediary. We don't have an intermediary. Here it goes. Like Jesus, we don't have an intermediary. We don't pray to Jesus. Jesus was the master teacher. Jesus was a great example, right? A great example. But we don't pray to him. We go direct God. We don't have an intermediary on our part. We just go direct. If we find something difficult to grasp, then we shall never grasp it because we shall always think of it as being incomprehensible. As soon as we say, oh my God, this is impossible, your wish is my command. It shall be impossible. That's like deciding to take my class tomorrow. Oh, take that class tomorrow. I'm telling you what, I've had so much fun preparing for this class because it's the last time I'm going to teach it. It's going to be a magnificent class, but you have to decide because if you think, oh, it's not going to work, or I just don't have time, the excuses are going to get in the way of every demonstration you're ever going to have in your life. When you show up and suit up, the universe shows up and suits up and you demonstrate. There's no other way to use this. The mind which we discover within us is the mind that governs everything. Everything. The people we like, the people we don't like. The cultures we get along with, the cultures we clash with. It makes no difference. The universe is the thing that governs all things. Recognize our unity in it. This is the thing itself, and we should recognize its simplicity. It is so simple to talk about and so challenging to execute. Because our minds get in the way of all of that progress. It's so simple, but it's really a challenge to keep your mind focused like that. Does that make sense? Notice at the beginning we had 2 little kids, right? And these are not representations of a relationship. This is like the mother-father God. Okay? I'm not here to say God is a man, God is a woman, is God even identifiable? No, it's the thing itself, but I look at it as you've got this friend. And when you know that your friend is for you and does all of this for you, and you learn how to use that, and I say learn how to use it because that's our invitation. It is the Father's good pleasure to give and give abundantly. You have to be clear on what it is you want given to you. Ask and ye shall receive. Don't speculate. It doesn't say, guess and ye shall receive. It says the word ask. Learn how to ask. And not in a chaotic, frenzied way, because that's not how you want the demonstration to be, but in a great, organized way, which is exactly what we teach. If you want to start out the new year, decide to start making some changes. First of all, show up tomorrow. I want to teach this stuff because you know what? I want, when I do retire, I want my legacy to be a room full of people whose lives have changed and who stepped forward into something different that they've never done before, and they're doing it all because they came and they just got some nuggets. You know, you want nuggets? There's going to be so many nuggets tomorrow. You're going to feel like you've chewed on so many nuggets, you're going to want to see a nugget again in your life. But they are so good and juicy. You've got a friend, and it's here for you. It's working for you. It always has and always will. There's a power for good in the universe, and we all have access to it. Positive use or negative use, my decision. We were given the freedom. That's the thing itself. And so end your lesson. Thank you, everybody.
So this is such an important part of our service. As I just told you about all the really spiritual, deep things that we are offering every day. Sometimes we have 2 things on one day. It's because of all the support that we get, financial support we get from you, the viewers, you, the congregants, that help us to continue doing this. What you give keeps this building alive, keeps it together, and keeps us being able to change the world one heart at a time. So right now, right there on your screen, there's so many different ways that you can support our center in a really way that also benefits you, as well as keeping this legacy church together. So we thank you in advance for all you do, and we bless your offering, knowing that it goes out into the world, creating wonderful opportunities, great things that touches so many lives. Thank you for all that you do to make this a wonderful world. Oh, from that place of deep gratitude, I recognize this power, this presence, this life that is my life, this life that is everyone's life. We are in this soup together, creating wonderful things. And so let us know that we are one with this divine intelligence, and that we are moving forward into the future in a positive way, that there is oneness within our country, within the world, that we recognize and we see the God in each person that we come into contact with. We know that we are truly blessed. We know that there are no accidents in the universe, that everything that is going on in our life, we have called it forth. We have called it forth to create something even higher, something that is pushing us to that next level, to that higher plateau, so that we have a larger view of what is possible, of what is so. And we know that we are the creators. Each and every one of us is, wherever we are the center of the universe. We are divine creators. And so let each one of us, I know that each one of us is a divine, loving, peaceful leader. So I give great thanks for this thing called life. Great thanks for this opportunity to make a difference in this world. And I say thank you, knowing that all is unfolding perfectly. I let go and let God. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Thank you, everyone. Have an amazing week.